Khamis is a Malaysian Muslim man who resides in Negeri Sembilan and works as a makeup artist. He has undergoes an operation to change his gender and regularly dressed as woman in public. He was then arrested and charged under the Section 66 of Negeri Sembilan's Sharia Criminal Enactment 1992, whereby it's an offence for any Muslim male person to wear a woman's attire or to pose as a woman. He then applied for a judicial review of Section 66 on the grounds that it was unconstitutional as it violates the fundamental liberties as outlined by the Federal Constitution. He also claimed that he is suffering a mental health condition known as Gender Identity Disorder or GID. So, in today's episode of Keeping Up with the Law, we're going to dig deeper into the case of Juzaili Khamis, learn about the mental health condition known as GID, and to connect this case with the concept of equality from different perspectives. We're also going to learn and study about the point of view from different societies. So, what are we waiting for? Let's get it!
The case is between Khamis and others against State of Government of Negeri Sembilan and others. The jurisdiction of this case was in Court of Appeal and the date of decision was in 7th of November 2014. So, in this case, there were 3 appellants who applied for a judicial review of Section 66 of Sharia Criminal Enactment 1992 Negeri Sembilan on the grounds that it should be unconstitutional. So, Section 66 makes it an offence for male to dress as females and to portray themselves as female in public. Those convicted shall face RM1,000 of fine and a term of imprisonment for 6 months or both. So the appellants in this case were described as Muslim males who were not normal males because they have GID, which is Gender Identity Disorder. Each of these appellants, since a very young age, had been portraying themselves as women and had been expressing themselves with mannerisms of femininity, for example, wearing female clothes and also wearing makeups. So the appellants had been repeatedly detained, arrested and convicted pursuant to Section 66. Therefore, the appellants then made application to the High Court for judicial review, arguing that Section 66 shall be void because it is inconsistent with constitutional rights, including their right to equality. But the High Court dismissed their applications and leave them to appeal in this case. So the decision of this case is that the court found that Section 66 was inconsistent with a number of fundamental liberties stated in Part 2 of the Constitution and was therefore unconstitutional. Article 4.1 of the Constitution provides that any law that is inconsistent with the Constitution to an extent of inconsistency and shall be void, and accordingly Section 66 shall be void.
The Federal Court overturned the Court of Appeal's decision that the Sharia law on anti-cross-dressing is unconstitutional and void. It further said that the Court of Appeal actually had no jurisdiction to declare that the law was unconstitutional, and also added that the 3 transgenders had followed the wrong legal procedure to start their action. The 3 Muslim bridal makeup artists, Mohd Juzaili, Khamis, Juzaili, and one Fairul, one Ismail, they filed a judicial application at the High Court saying that to seek declaration for Section 66 of the Negeri Sembilan Sharia Criminal Enactment 1992, which criminalizes Muslim men for cross-dressing, was invalid and unconstitutional. The issue is that the applications for declarations that has been sought by the respondents were incomplete with Clause 3 and 4 of Article 4 of the Federal Constitution and should have been dismissed by the High Court, and the High Court actually had no jurisdiction to hear the matter. In conclusion, the respondents have failed to follow the specific procedure in the Federal Constitution. The learned judges of High Court and Court of Appeal were also in grave error for entertaining respondents' application to question the validity and the constitutionality of Section 66. It is tried that any proceeding is heard without jurisdiction or the power to do so, as it is null and void ab initio.
What is GID? Gender dysphoria, which is also known as gender identity disorder, given by a formal diagnosis mental health professionals to people who experience a significant incongruence between the gender they will personally identify with the gender they were born. Although gender nonconformity is not a mental disorder, GID is categorized clinically a mental anguish. As transgender individuals, those with GID have a strong conviction that their feelings and actions are typical of the opposite gender and they desire to live and be perceived as the other gender. There is also a controversy regarding the GID. Clinical GID diagnoses have been controversial since they first appeared. Beginning in the mid-1990s, the level of controversies and debate increased, partly because of the work of transgender, intersex, and gay and lesbian social movements, but also because of critiques made within the medical and mental health professionals, both by individuals and by lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender, which is also known as LGBT. For gender variant children, critics often argue that the diagnosis is too broad. Research on children will most likely grow up to be gay or bisexual. Critics suggest that GID treatment may damage self-esteem and that the distress that GID children exhibit is not inherent to their gender nonconformity, but rather is a reaction to being stigmatized. Mental health professionals who support the diagnosis and treat GID children counter that their treatment help GID children to have a better peer relation and thus boosted self-esteem. And thus, researchers indicate that GID children do exhibit forms to distress associated directly with their gender variants.
Recently, a lot of developed countries have recognized the rights for transgenders, including the United States, the Germans, the Scandinavian, UK, and especially Canada with Bill C-16. For me, I personally believe that there are only two genders, male and female, and a man should not be able to transform their gender and change their gender just because they want to. But that's just my opinion. Let's see what our locals think about it.
I think transgender they don't deserve to choose their own what I call their gender. You know, it's I mean, naturally they was born as male or female. I don't think they have a right to choose. You know, human being, when they was born, it was decided that they are male or female. I mean, I don't agree that they have a right to choose. They can choose whatever gender that they want. For me, I mean, they don't have that's have been decided.
I believe transgenders should be allowed to choose their gender preferences in opposed to their biological status, because I strongly believe in human rights. Because if a man, you are referring to a man wanting to be a woman,
or the other way around.
or the other way around, I think there has to be a purpose why a man wants to be a woman or a woman wants to behave like a man or become a man, become a transgender basically.
Okay, in my opinion, I do agree. I do think that they should do that. This is because they are free to do whatever they want, and they shouldn't surrender to such a primitive mindset that people nowadays possess. Just because we live in Malaysia, and just because we have just because it's not natural, just because people think it's not natural, doesn't mean you can't do it, you know? So if you want to do it, then go ahead. It's really your choice.
Yeah, I mean, GID is I mean, it's part of the community. You know, they are part of the. I mean, they are there are people surround us which have GID, and we have to acknowledge that. I mean, they are existent. There is there. No? So I'm aware of that.
I've heard of GID, which is a gender identity disorder. I have read very little about it, not too much about it. Yeah, I am aware.
I am aware of GID, but I don't know people who actually have GID. But I'm aware that it's happening, like it's very widespread nowadays.
I mean, transgender, they have, for me, they have their right as part of society. You know, they have a right. I mean, to work whatever, I mean, based on their interests, their qualifications. They have the right for that. You know, they have the right to use the public utilities. They can work. They can open a bank account, whatever. I mean, public services they can use. But on the other things, on the other side of the right, when we talk about the right to raise a family, to get married, to have their own what we call community or family or whatever, I don't think we are not. I'm not agree to that, you know. So they have a right. I mean, they have equal right as any.
I believe so. Yeah, coming back to my first question, your first question just now, I think GID, the word disorder itself in the term, it already means something is not right somewhere, because it's like we can relate it to mental disorder, eating disorder, anxiety disorder, some kind of disorder which is actually related to their brains.
I really do think they deserve equal rights. This is because when they feel accepted, that's when they can really figure out what they want to become for real. Okay.
As part of society, we have to accept that. Okay? We have to accept. They are part of the society. I mean, for me, I accept, but it's important that we, rather than discriminate them, we should help them, you know, to be part of the society and to live normally like any others. All right.
I think the thing is, society needs to understand there is a lack of awareness in our country, basically because we are Malaysians, we are Asians, we always want to play safe, we always want to be nice, we want to do the right thing, we strive to do the right thing and all that. But we cannot run away from the fact that there are actually people like this around us.
Of course. I mean, what's there not to accept? We're all humans, right?
What is equality? Equality defines as the same status, rights, and responsibilities for all members of the society, group, or family. Equality is not always treating everyone the same, but it is about treating people in such a way that the outcome for each person can be the same. This means putting things in place to support people to achieve similar outcomes. Ronald Dworkin has highlighted several aspects of equality, which are equality of welfare, equality of freedom, equality of resources, and political equality. And if we see equality from the perspective of Islam, the following Quranic verse is frequently cited in Quran to support equality in to support general equality of all human beings, regardless of races, language, religion, and social status. In Surah Al-Hujurat, chapter 49, verse 13, state that, O mankind, indeed we have created you from male and female, and made you people and tribes that you may know one another. Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous. Indeed, Allah is knowing and acquainted. And in Article 8 of the Federal Constitution reads about equality that state in Clause 1, which are all persons are equal before the law and entitled to the equal protection of the law. And Article 1 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights 1948 proclaims that
all humans are born free, and and Article 1 of Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 1948 proclaims that all human beings are born free in dignity and rights. So as we can see here, that everyone deserves equality regardless of race, religion and etc. But when it comes about transgender, do you think that they deserve equality as others?
We have learned about the case and also about the mental condition of GID. We also know what society thinks about transgenders with GID and equality itself. In conclusion, transgenders are also human, hence the need to be treated as humans. Discrimination toward the transgenders, especially with the mental condition of GID, is not acceptable, hence should be stopped. Till then, keeping up with the law. See you guys in next episode.
1, 2, 3.
Society really stop.
That the application that is, oh my god!
So, the decision of this
In transgender